Hello, today's Thursday, May 28th, and for today, I'm going to start off with a whole series of videos centered on the idea of evidence-based claims. And evidence-based claim, that's a topic that if you're a former student of mine, you know that I have talked about a lot. And there's a very big reason for that. Evidence-based writing and evidence-based claim really is the foundation for higher level academic thinking and writing. And in order to understand that, there's a couple of really important critical thinking skills we have to go over. And it's because of that I think it's so important. And it's one of those things that at first glance, a lot of people might think that it's a bit too hard or advanced for students in the younger grade levels. And I don't think that's true at all. And quite frankly, there's plenty of research to prove that it's not true. In fact, the earlier you start students with this, the better, right? The sooner we can get students understanding the relationship between stating a claim and being able to support it with evidence, the better they are able to both A, understand why they have to do certain things and the reason for it, and B, articulate their own beliefs and support those beliefs. And I can't stress how important that is enough. There's plenty of evidence out there that shows how important this is. But beyond that, let's talk about some of the benefits of this. If we start this early and we start learning the structures of supporting an argument, the importance of finding proper evidence, the relationship between that evidence and the claim you're trying to make, we really can start making sophisticated writing. And it's that writing that you see required on things like AP exams. And if we start in middle school, by the time you get to high school where you start getting those AP exams and college level courses, you'll already have a lot of experience with it and therefore be much more successful on it. And beyond that, and this is where it gets really important, when you move on to the college level, you are at a much higher chance of not having to take 098 style courses or non-credit bearing courses, because you don't need to take any of those remedial things. You will be truly college ready because you have that understanding. And I can't stress this enough. Now, it is difficult at first, but hopefully through this series of videos, which admittedly are going to be, not exactly the way I would normally do this. I'd much rather prefer to do this in person, but with distance learning, it's what we got. So let's just jump right in today and first explain what a claim is, and then second, talk about the three characteristics of evidence-based claims. All right, so first off, a claim. What's a claim? A claim is a direct statement you're making about something, all right? And that's pretty much all there is to it. So you want to say, like, cats are the best animals? You're making a claim. And that's pretty straightforward. And we're all familiar with claims because we're surrounded by them on a daily basis, right? If you want good grades, you have to do your homework. That's a claim, right? If you want to be healthy, you have to eat healthy foods. That is a claim, right? So we're not unfamiliar with claims. We might not have necessarily heard them referred to that, but we know them. In fact, for a lot of students nowadays, you're bombarded with claims on social media, right? Influencers on social media are doing nothing but throwing claims at you. Many times unsubstantiated, but hopefully after we start talking about this, you'll be able to start seeing that and be able to better move your way through that and understand what's going on. Right? So if a claim is just a statement, what's an evidence-based claim? Well, it's a claim that is supported with evidence, right? Evidence-based claim. That should be pretty straightforward. So that's relatively simple to start, right? So an evidence-based claim is a statement about something that is supported with evidence. And of course, as we move on to other videos, we'll have to explain what evidence is and so forth, and what makes good evidence and strong evidence, so forth, but that'll be on later videos. Let's get to those three characteristics, okay? And our first characteristic is our evidence-based claim has to state a conclusion that you've come to and you want other people to think about, right? And that's going to be a big point. When we're writing evidence-based claim style writing, we are expressing something that we have come to the conclusion of, and we want our reader to think about, right? It's very similar to a persuasive paper, but not always, right? We want them to think about it. We want them to be able to understand what our claim is, to identify what it is, and to consider all of the evidence and facts that we've provided for it. And that's going to be a big thing, right? So our claim, our first characteristic of it, it's our opinion that we've come to, a conclusion we've come to, I should say rather, and we want others to think about. Number two, of course, is that all parts of that claim are supported by evidence. All right. So, for example, I can't just willy-nilly throw out things like cats are the best pets, right? That's a claim, but it's not an evidence-based claim. I'm not supporting that with any evidence. I have to provide facts. I have to provide some sort of evidence, okay? And we have to be careful. Again, tomorrow we'll start talking about evidence and what makes up evidence. Because what you'll first start to see is, well, I said so, or because some guy on the internet said so. That's not really necessarily evidence, right? Especially, you maybe don't take the words of somebody with signs like that in the background. But that's characteristic number two. And characteristic number three, and this is a big one, your claim, your evidence-based claim, has to demonstrate that you have knowledge of what the claim is about and shows sound thinking about that topic. What does it mean to be sound thinking? It means that your claim, based on the evidence you've provided and based on what your claim says, shows that it has been well thought out and based on the evidence you've used, makes logical sense. All right. So for example, because I'm weird, we'll go back to my cat example. And if I made a claim that said cats are the best pets, and one of my pieces of evidence is that birds are very loyal, right? A, the evidence doesn't have anything to do with the claim, and B, it doesn't really show a sound understanding of the topic. We're talking about cats, but I mentioned birds, right? So that's what we're talking about when we mention sound understanding. And if we're mentioning something about, let's say, gardening, right, and the best way to grow plants like vegetables, and you're providing some sort of claim that, it's always important to plant your seeds in, 50% compost, 50% soil, and your basis for that is that you watched a cartoon, and on the cartoon, the Teen Titans did that in an episode, right? That doesn't show that you have sound knowledge of it, right? So that's what we're talking about. So a claim is a direct statement about something, right? It shows that you've come to a conclusion about something and you want others to think about it. All parts of the claim are supported with evidence, and it shows that you have knowledge of the topic and sound thinking about it. Right? So that's our basis for an evidence-based claim. As we move on through this series of videos, and it's going to take at least 5, we'll start talking about different things like evidence. How do you select evidence? How do you make a claim based on what you've read? And what's the difference between making your own claim and just pulling something out of an article you're reading? And there's a lot of very important things here. And I cannot stress this enough. If we were actually in a class and I was your admittedly goofy looking teacher at the front of the class, I would tell you this is the single most important thing I can teach you. And I truly believe that. Because as I said before, this is the foundation for critical thinking. This is the foundation for truly high-level academic writing. And this is the foundation for understanding so much of what goes on in terms of social media, in digital literacy, and all sorts of media literacy. It is so important to understand this, not only for your writing, but for your interpretation of claims that are presented to you. So that's why this is so important. So tomorrow we'll start diving right into evidence and how to form it and what to look for in terms of evidence. And we'll just hit the ground running with this. This is going to probably take us, maybe at least a week. And, we're already heading into June. And I think we're going to end on one of the most important things you need to take into your next year of school. Now, if you're someone who is finishing up traditional, public schooling and maybe moving on to a college level, this is going to be incredibly important for you when you enter into college in August. So please stay tuned, and I hope everyone's well. Until next time, be good.